So we're back with some cursed object conspiracy theories that'll make you question everything. Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's check them out.
Let's talk about the most creepiest cursed object ever, the Hope Diamond. Hope Diamond is currently housed in the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. Try saying that 5 times fast. And it has a very long history dating back centuries. The diamond's origins can be traced back to India, where it was believed to be stolen from the statue of the Hindu goddess Sita. According to legend, the theft started a curse that brought great misfortune and tragedy to whoever possessed the diamond. Let's review, shall we? One of the diamond's first owners, a French merchant called Jean-Baptiste, acquired the gem in the 17th century, faced financial ruin, and eventually died from a violent fever. Creepy! Next, now King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette were also rumored to have owned the diamond, and they eventually faced execution during the French Revolution. The diamond also fell into the hands of a Dutch jeweler known as Wilhelm Fals, who died by unaliving himself. Simon Frankel was another jeweler who allegedly got his hands on the stone, and was later unalived by his own son. Dude, if I was even in the general vicinity of the Smithsonian, let's talk about the most creepy.
Exactly, bro. I'd be careful and wary of everything, man. You think about that. We hear the same thing when they be opening these tombs. You heard the stories about people, because it takes so many people to open them. When they get them open, follow the history and the life of those who were there that opened that tomb. I want to be one of the ones that is far, far away when y'all are opening. I don't even want to be around it. Just tell me what happened, what y'all found, everything else. We're good to go. This stuff is, do you believe in this stuff or not? What do y'all think? Real or fake?
People think of cursed objects as being kind of fun and spooky, but working with them, it feels a lot less about that and a lot more about that kind of heavy responsibility to keep some of these objects with us under lock and key and maybe out of the wrong hands.
This is the cursed deer skull. We drove down to Nashville to pick up from a woman who saw this in an antique store and took it back to her office, and almost immediately her employees started getting sick. One of her employees was hit by a car, and then the wall that this was hanging on actually fell down and took half of the building with it.
But he just touching it with no problems, right? This thing has been rumored or to have done such and such to people, to which we keep hearing sicknesses as one of the side effects of having cursed objects in your possession, right? But he just nonchalantly walks over there, grabs it, and is stroking it like it's a pet.
There are certain objects specifically in our museum that, without people knowing why they feel the way that they feel, they will definitely have heart palpitations, anxiety. We've had people almost faint. We've had people throw up. We've had people dry heave. People have very visceral physical reactions to being around some of the objects. The crone really is the definition of kind of a cursed object. It is a carved statue of a woman. Someone at some point in time took this object and attached the noose and the nails.
People who would get near the crone, they would be just overwhelmed with anxiety. This guy came all the way from Canada to come and see the crone. He begged us to take it out of the box. Almost immediately, his eyes roll up in the back of his head and he starts to bleed from his mouth.
Yo.
People think.
Be careful what you ask for. Are you kidding me? You drove all the way just for that to happen to you? But no, back to my question from earlier. What gives them the pass to be able to be around this stuff, touch this stuff, be in its presence? What gives them, you ever thought about that? What gives them the ability to do so? Or what did they do or sell of themselves to be allowed to be amongst this stuff with no repercussion? Like, dude didn't get sick when we saw him standing there talking about it. Nothing. No chest pain. We didn't see chest pain. We didn't see him grab for anything. We didn't see him start hyperventilating. Nothing. So I'm like, what did y'all do to be able to be around this stuff? That's the question.
So I just found what appears to be some sort of box in here. I'm gonna show you guys how to handle a situation like this. Find something nearby that looks like it belongs and cover that up and walk away. people, this goes double for you. So I just...
Oh, I think me and her are related, yo. That's got to be my long lost sister or something like that. Because that's what I would have done, bro. No, we got to learn to leave well enough alone. Stop being so inquisitive and trying to figure out what everything is, man. Leave it alone. We'll be so much better off. So much better off. Salute to her for that. You know what I mean? This needs to go viral.
Here are some of the most cursed objects in the world and the stories behind them. This is the dress of Anna Baker. The legend says that she fell in love with an iron worker and ran off to get married to him. Her father, that was disgusted with this, dragged her back and locked her in a bedroom. She then refused to marry anyone else because she was so in love with her first love. Her father didn't like this and left her locked in that room for the rest of her life, and she died alone. After that, the family would claim that the dress would start appearing in different rooms of the house. They also claimed that they could see the spirit walking around the house at night. And number 2 is the screaming skull of Catherine Griffith. Now, Catherine lost her life in 1620 after being attacked by her bullies. Her skull now remains in Burton Agnes in England, and every night a ghost can be seen walking around it, crying and making tremendous noises, scaring the out of anyone that would come near it. Now I've got so much more of these, so make sure you like and follow for part 2.
Yo, man. And to think, man, we go up in some of these museums, or think about this stuff, right? Somebody could literally send you stuff like this. Even the other stuff we looked at. Somebody could find some of this stuff online, send it to you as a gift, and you never know. You know what I mean? Maybe the one with the little thing around his neck and everything like that, and some of the weird looking ones. But what if it's a doll and they just send it to you as a gift, tell you to put it in a case, treasure it, and they give you some false meaning, but the true meaning behind it is it's cursed. And they're doing evil by sending it to you because you might have done something they didn't like, you didn't even know, so they decide to send you a gift like that. Do your research on stuff that you receive from now on. For this point forward, anything you receive, do your research on it, man, and make sure ain't nobody sending you nothing crazy.
Heard of the Uncle Clunk incident? In 1983, Showbiz Pizza introduced an animatronic named Uncle Clunk, who was considered advanced for the time in terms of movement and intelligence. As he was being added to more and more locations, complaints arose about his behavior. Apparently during shows, he was staring at audience members for prolonged periods of time. In some instances, when there was no show playing, he would look at nearby children and say random numbers. The mechanics were never able to figure out what was wrong. Eventually, Showbiz had enough, and all the Clunks were recalled, except for 2. One that was forgotten in a storage closet in Maine, and one at my local Showbiz in the arcade. This place wasn't informed about the recall. That summer, my friends and I were in the arcade playing, when one of my friends began to hear a voice in the dark blabbering numbers. He stopped his game to approach the corner. We all followed him and found the Clunk bot behind the corner saying
7 16 83 7 16 83 7.
That sounds like a date. Today's date.
37.
We ran out and we told the manager. He told us to wait outside, he turned on his flashlight and he went in. After 30 seconds, he came back and he told us to find our parents and go home. We asked about our missing friend and he said, "Who?" That was the last time that we ever heard from him. The very next day, the location closed down for good. Not just that, but our friend's parents also moved that same day. We never found out what happened to our friend, or to the location, or to Uncle Clunk.
If this is real, that is a crazy story. Are you serious? See, this is one of the reasons why if you ever take a kid to like Chuck E. Cheese or whatever the kids' places is, and they have the characters in there, and you walk the kid up to them and they just start screaming and crying and stuff like that. I never would force a kid to go be amongst it. You know what I mean? I never would. Something that kid picked up on is what I would think in my mind. Maybe he picked up on something that's not right. Let me not force him. You know what I mean? He'll come around if he wants to eventually, and then it'll be on his terms. But if he doesn't, then maybe he picked up on something that I didn't see or I didn't feel. You know what I mean? Sometimes your kid knows, bro, and you don't. So you got to pay attention to the signs. And I often would think about that at places, some of these places, man, that have these strange looking characters that just seem to stare off, and the mechanical ones, the ones that walk around with people inside, the characters the people that dress up in the character uniforms, that's a whole nother story for another day. But the mechanical ones, if the kid starts crying and different things like that, don't force them, man. Pay attention. You might see something like this or be around something like that.
This is one of the most cursed objects in the entire world. This is Busby's stoop chair, and it belonged to convicted murderer Thomas Busby. Thomas Busby was a man who lived in the late 1600s in North Yorkshire, and local legends say that this was his favorite chair. Before he was executed by hanging in 1702, he went to his favorite local pub to have his last meal in his favorite chair. When he finished his meal, he stood up and proclaimed, "May sudden death come to anyone who sits in my chair." After his death, it's said that 50 to 70 people have died after sitting in his chair.
What?
One of the most recent stories was in the 1970s when two airmen dared each other to sit in the chair. One of the men sat in the chair for only 1 second, and on their way back to the field, they died in a traffic accident. The chair was taken to a museum and hung up high on the wall so no one else could sit on it and get attacked by the 300-year-old curse of the death chair. This is...
Now, I know you're thinking like me, why don't we demo it? Why don't we destroy it? Why don't we... I think that all the time. But then my mind says something to me like, well, what if you destroy it and things get worse? Or what if you destroy it and, you know what I mean, something happens to you for destroying it? Like, you got to be careful with some of these cursed items. I think there's a proper way to dispose of some things, but who knows how to do that? Who do you find to talk to about how to do that? Now, they put it up high. I don't think that's the answer either, because it's still accessible. Like, that thing should be encased in something, padlocked and buried to the depths with notes all throughout it saying, don't sit in this chair if found, something like that. It should be buried to where no one can reach it. Stuff like I don't know, man, but that's scary.
Be careful buying items like this. So you may think, oh, it's just art, right? No. What you may call art or just a carving houses an entity on the inside of it. See, in these stores where things are used, there are items that travel from all around the globe just to get to you and to get inside of your house. And you're wondering why you have problems. A lot of times things like this, you'll find them in shrines. I'm telling you, there's some shrines you'll find in Nigeria or Zimbabwe, where if you go in there and you start knocking these things over, you'll be dead within a week. See, a lot of times you can buy one of those and it'll say just African wood carving, and you're not knowing it came from Okija shrine, right? I'm just making giving an example, right? And it's bringing darkness into your home. A lot of us, right, especially here in America, we grew up with our grandparents. I know on the American side of my family, my father's side, like my grandmother and a lot of people would have like decorate their homes with these type of things, right? But not knowing really where it came from.
Yep.
See, there are times you can go to different countries, right? And you'll buy what is a carving, but you don't know that the intent of that thing, right, what's inside of it is to steal wealth spiritually from your home, right? And you're wondering why you're suffering, or you wonder why certain things have been traveling down your bloodline for such a long time, because you've been passing this thing over and over for the longest time. Most things are not benign. I'm telling you, a lot of these things are idols, right? They'll be sitting inside of a shrine. Someone worships that thing, but they can find its way. This way the spirit realm works is if you go and try and buy these little items from used stores, or you could even go online, buy something new. There's an intent and a purpose, and it's not good. Just because something looks pretty or it seems like, oh, this is just nice and cultural, stop falling for the devil's trap when he's like, okay, this is cultural, so it must be good, right? You don't know how human beings are wicked at their core. Okay, so when someone sells you something and they smile, especially a lot of you who go to different places as tourists, and someone says, oh, my brother, my sister, welcome home, and they sell you this thing, you're so happy to be there that you get swindled, right? And somebody spiritually takes something from you. But anyway, the point is of this was just to say, be careful, right? God bless.
Does that not scare you? Does that not scare you? Especially if those of us who go out of town and venture in different places as tourists and love the culture and want to be amongst the culture and buy certain things. Or you grew up like I did and had grandparents and aunts that would go to thrift stores and flea markets and stuff like that and buy things and completely not know what they're buying, the history attached to what they're buying. Didn't know, just thought it looked good aesthetically in their home. And oh my gosh, it looks cultural. So they would buy it, not knowing what this thing could, where it came from and what it could be doing to you. Like, that scares me, man. I had an aunt, she had all kind of stuff around her home. That she would just buy little knickknacks from here and there and different things that would, as a kid, would scare you to death if you see that thing with the lights cut off. Never want to stay over their house. Never want to be there. Certain things just give you the creeps. Yeah. Like, to hear him echo that same thing, bro, it just gives a little bit more confirmation to that type of stuff, man. Trust me. Most of us know people who've done that, or maybe yourself, man, and you might be going through something. Check that thing, man. Do the research and make sure that's not what's causing some of the issues that you're going through.
Here's some of the scariest cursed objects that actually exist. Part 7. Originally supposed to be a wine cabinet, the DeBook box is now the home of a deadly curse. In 2001, a man bought this box from eBay and immediately started experiencing horrifying nightmares. He eventually gave it to his mom as a gift, and she had a stroke the same day she received it. The box's origins were traced back to a Holocaust survivor. It's believed that this box is possessed by a DeBook, a malicious demon of Jewish mythology that takes over people's bodies and uses them for evil. The box was finally put in possession of Zach Bagan, a paranormal investigator, where it now resides in his haunted museum. It gained even more attention in 2018 when Post Malone touched the box, and has reportedly been dealing with the repercussions of it ever since. Here's some.
Yo, I heard him talk about that on the Joe Rogan podcast. It was a clip we saw the other day. He was talking about that and the things that happened after he interacted with that thing. Everything that follows was bad in his life. He was talking to Joe Rogan about that. But even that, though, man, even like Buddy was saying before, you know what I mean? This stuff, people do certain things, they're rotten to the core. This dude actually gave this to his mom. Are you kidding me? Rotten to the... People are evil. Evil. You thinking they're doing a kind thing by sending you a gift. But that gift has ill intentions, fam. Somebody would send that to their own mom. That's just wrong, bro. It's hard to believe that it's people out there like that, but there are.
The World's Most Cursed Items, Part 8. Now this one seriously creeps me out, like I hate the look of this thing. This is the Swansea Devil statue located in Wales. This creepy thing has quite the story, beginning at the end of the 19th century. It all starts when they decided to rebuild the Swansea St. Mary's Church. The design was up for grabs, and one architect, Sir Arthur Blomfield, won the contract. The rebuild was complete in 1896 and it won almost universal acclaim. But one architect from the city felt overlooked and he was seeking revenge. He actually bought the properties next to the church and turned them into offices. Atop one of his buildings, he placed the Swansea Devil statue staring right at the church. To the locals, he became known as Old Nick. The architect then proclaimed these words: "My devil will be able to leer and laugh, for at some future time he will see St. Mary's Church burn to the ground." And that is exactly what happened. During World War II, there was a bombing campaign and it destroyed St. Mary's Church. Amazingly though, the Swansea Devil and the building he was fixated on was untouched. He actually remained there until 1962 when the offices were demolished. It then seemingly vanished without a trace until the 1980s when it was found in an antique dealer's garage. As of 2019, he is now at the Swansea Museum. Whether the legend is true or not, the curators at the museum made sure to position him so he still faces the same church. The World's Most Cursed...
See, and that looks like one of them things that if you look in his eyes, like you're immediately supposed to apologize to it. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm glad it was looking a different way. Again, more people rotten to the core would do something like that over them feeling like they were snubbed for something. That would literally just think of something so satanic, so sadistic and just do that and turn that and face that and then pledge for this to happen to. Telling you, man, be careful, bro. Be careful. Because what's crazy is when you walk out your front door, you want to know what's funny? You want to know what's crazy? You walk out your front door today, look to the left, look to the right. If you have neighbors and people who live around you, you don't know if somebody's in their home practicing something like this or something with a cursed object. You just don't know. Be careful who you come in contact with, man.
Curse of objects.
People go put an X on them because if they take a piece of your hair or something that belongs to you, you put an X on you, then that's baloney. The Lord takes care of all this nonsense. But when a spiritist or somebody that's involved with even spirits in some form or other give you anything and you bring it to your home, the spirits have got access to your home openly at all times. The Lord cannot help you.
Enough, not a lot book. Okay, this is my Hawaii baby. I got her from some old lady after weeks.
Curse of objects.
Yeah, I need something that I could say every day to make sure. You know what I mean? Not just lighting some sage and walking around your house. I need something else to make sure I ward out any just weird energy. Make sure I look up certain things. Make sure I have nothing cursed in my home. But what about the land that you live on? It could be burial ground. You know what I mean? So I need to be able to say something or practice something or something I could say and repeat on a daily to make sure that stuff stays away and clear and my house is free of that type of energy, man. I don't want that near me at all. I need to look up something to say.
Alright, so this is a little in between part 1 and part 2 for my download this morning. What I wanted to touch base on right now with everyone is objects that can be cursed. So if someone gives you money, cash, that could be cursed. So then whatever you spend the money on essentially is cursed. Or if you hold on to it, it's cursed. Someone buys you a t-shirt. You love the t-shirt. You love it. You're wearing it everywhere. It's been cursed. You know, say you're out at the mall with somebody and you see something you really like, and out of nowhere, they're like, let me buy that for you. Let me buy that for you. And just because you don't see them doing the spell work on the item, it's an intention they have. So high-leveled, skilled people who do witchcraft, black magic, they can do it without doing it physically. It's a thought, okay? So when these people purchase something for you or send you a gift in the mail, it could be cursed, okay? It could be cursed. Pay attention to situations like that. More objects that could be cursed are like, and this is where it gets tricky because you can curse anything essentially. If someone bought you a car, you know, if someone buys you, some things you're tied to, you can't get out of. So this is where it gets complicated. This is where you have to seek somebody good at breaking spells. And I know I don't like to do magic, but sometimes an uncrossing or a, you know, some kind of ritual ceremonies are necessary, okay? I believe in God. I believe God handles things, but I'm also impatient. And I also feel like I know when I need to take action, okay? So I don't always take action on things. Sometimes I just laugh it off and wait to see the outcome of it. You know, I'm not scared of things like that. They don't scare me because I know where I am and what position I stand in. And I know that I'm basically untouchable. Not to brag, but you could ask everyone that's tried where it got them because it hasn't worked. And that's pretty much the same for you guys. If you're watching me, if you're listening to me, if you're in my collective daily, we have the same feelings. We're the same pretty much, okay? So we're so divinely protected that it's sickening to these people who like want to curse us, do this. It is making them mad, like crazy, not angry, crazy. They feel so powerless, so hopeless, like their whole life is a fraud, okay? They are steady trying. Think about all the money they've wasted doing this. Think about everything they've done, all the time, all the energy they've wasted doing this. If you have an object that someone gave you that you don't like, or that you've had a falling out with, or you have a weird feeling about, trust your intuition and throw that item in the trash. Take your trash out into the garbage can and let it sit outside of your house. I hope this helps. Part 2 coming soon.
Yeah, don't take it to a trash nearby your house either. I'm saying, drive that joker clear across the state if you can. Get it away from you, man. Put it in an incinerator or some type of thing to crush it. Or I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff is crazy. But he echoed the theme of throughout this video about some of these objects, man, that people can send you. Some cruel people in the world. Cruel people in the world, man, that has ill intentions against you. So you got to protect yourself and your family, man. You know, say a prayer, recite the prayer each day, do certain things, man, to make sure you continue to keep these things out of your home and away from your family. You know, everybody ain't happy for you. Everybody ain't in your corner. Some people have ill intentions. So y'all be safe out there. Check some of the gifts you've received. And y'all get at me in the comment section, man, and let me know what you thought of this video. Till the next one, I'm gone. Peace.